I have a textbook called 7 Core Issues in Adoption and Permanence. I'm showing this to you in the hopes that maybe one day you will take the time to read it. Hopefully others will as well. Based off of your comments, I would like to draw your attention to a specific section called Societal View of the Adoptee. Being a chosen child creates unrealistic expectations as it perpetuates a fairy tale narrative that everyone will live happily ever after. Losses are created for everyone when fantasies are not met. When children are adopted from foster care, they may imagine what their new family may be like. A fairy tale narrative may hinder their attachment to the new family. If their fantasy is a nightmare filled with fear and rejection based on prior experiences, it can equally impede their ability to experience the love and acceptance of the new family. Alternatively, fairy tale narrative that may be manifested by the adoptive family could impede their ability to attach to the actual child in their family. It puts the burden of happiness on the child. The fairy tale narrative built on the backs of children alleviates the guilt of moving children from one family to another. Adoption and permanency is seen as a trade-up in the world. The hope is that the child would have a better life and better opportunity. This trade-up is attached to a fairy tale that may require gratitude from the child. Adoptees are consistently reminded about how lucky they are to be in a good family. For many adoptees, that gratitude becomes destructive, as there may be no room for the acknowledgement of ongoing loss and grief. Gratitude may impede grieving, anger, questioning, wondering, and searching, as there is a debt to be paid for this step up in society. Adoptees frequently hear that they were a gift given to their family. This relegates a human being an object to transfer. This is how adoption can become more about meeting the needs of the adults and only secondarily about meeting the needs of the child. The language that society uses to frame the adoption and permanency experience, such as chosen, gift, step up, lucky, trade up, good adoptee, saved, rescued, and born from my heart, can be experienced by the adoptee as a diminishment of the traumatic events that occurred in their life. It has been part of our culture's narrative to put a positive spin on adoption and permanency in order to emphasize the gain. First and foremost, society came to view adoption and permanency as a single, simple, problem-solving event where people benefit. Parents who are unable to parent the children they bring into the world, prospective parents who are challenged with infertility or those who choose to make room in their families for additional children, and children who lack permanency, all have additional needs to address as a result of adoption and permanency. Many people see these placements as a single event that affects one generation. The examination of deep emotions is often avoided in our current culture, and people are encouraged to just move on and get over it. Pop psychology teaches individuals to live in the present and stay positive. Adoption and permanency leads to emotions and tasks most would prefer to avoid. It takes time, resilience, and support to be able to address the losses and attendant core issues that follow. In the author's experience, if individuals do not take the time to address these issues, they may become detached and walled off from aspects of themselves, limiting emotional, intellectual, developmental, and spiritual growth. The majority of people were not raised in a family where adoption, foster care, or kinship care were the norm. Few people imagine that they will be infertile, lose a child, or grow up in another family. People generally have a vision for how they want their lives to unfold over time and come to believe that this is the way it's supposed to be. This does not occur for members of the constellation. Individuals have normative developmental tasks to address as children, adolescents, adults, parents, and grandparents. Being part of the adoption and permanency community adds additional complex tasks as an overlay to each of these stages of development. Denial of losses and of other constellation members' losses is at the root of many problems associated with adoption and permanency. If society views adoption and permanency as problem-solving events with no ongoing impact on constellation members' lives, the pain of these unaddressed losses grows. If there's no recognition of the losses, People remain in pain and susceptible to limiting their potential and their relationship. Loss is experienced as a negative, and the current adoption and permanency narrative strives to focus on positive outcome. However, adoption and permanency is full of paradoxes in that while adoption and permanency addresses real needs, it also creates real losses. The losses are not only experienced by the individuals that are party to the adoption, but extend to their families, friends, neighbors, and the whole community.